back for our third part of today's session on IBGR.network. IBGR is a call sign, as a radio station, but we are far more than a radio station because we're a network of global entrepreneurs here to help each and every one of you. And I'm your host, Jan Robberts, inspirational. And episode 7. And today we're talking about habits. Do they provide danger or do they give you opportunity? Now, first of all, of course, we need to know what kind of habits we've got. And are they providing us opportunities or are they hindering us? Do we need to dump some of them? So in the first sessions, if you're only just joined us in the first sessions, I talked a little bit into what habits are, why they are powerful, how they work, just sort of simple things that we need to know. And as entrepreneurs also, how we become more effective, which I'm going to talk in now, is that there is quite a few habits that as entrepreneurs we need to acquire, and also some of the habits we need to dump. Because you need to then know what these habits are. So to recognize the habits in you when you do things automatically, because habits are usually done automatic. And I said that I made it a little bit shorter because in our values-based leadership program, every week we read that on every value that we go through, is thoughts become actions, actions become habits, and habits become your destiny. I hope you get that bit. So it goes from thought to habit to thought. You could put it into action because I already say. And on my show notes, every week I say that whatever you learn this week, it is absolutely useless if you don't implement any of it. Now, I hope that gets through to you because knowledge is not power. It never was. It never is. It needs to be implemented. Knowledge implemented is power. And then, if every day, at the end of the day, you reflect on that implementation and you ask yourself some questions, which I've actually put in the show notes as well, then you can find out what you did well, what you could do better, what you need to discard altogether, or what you need to change, and then you can move into tomorrow more experienced, more prepared. But knowledge acted upon as power, but knowledge acted upon and then reflected upon those actions is superpower, basically. And that's in my show notes as well. So I leave that in every week because the rest, it doesn't matter. If you just listen in and you've had a lovely time, you now learn a little bit more about habits, and next week it's going to be mind power, and last week I can't even remember exactly what it was, but you can find it on the IBGR.net website where everything is there. The show notes are there, the podcasts are there. You can meet our amazing hosts from around the world there as well as on the app, of course. So download the app so you've got it with you all the time. But with all the knowledge from all these amazing people around the world who are here to help you, to guide you, support you, so you can not make the mistakes that many of us have made, not make mistakes you might make had you not had that information, but to really help you to become more effective and more successful. And it is all meaningless if you just listen to it and then don't implement any of it, no matter how important it is to you, no matter how small that step may seem. Because with habits as well, it is the small steps that are very important. You know, the big habits, you know, we do every day, some big things, and then the little things like brushing your teeth before or after your meal every time, and doing all these kind of simple things that become habits because you don't need to think about it. You know, now I need to do this. You don't think, what was I going to do after I eat again? Oh yes, I need. Oh no, I need to brush my teeth. Now maybe when you start that habit, a habit at the beginning, you might need to think about it a bit more, maybe even write it down. That's why personal development plans and self-care plans are so important, and that you write them down and that you start working on those kind of things, because they're also habits. Writing down goals, writing down what you're going to do. These are habits that we need to acquire for success, by the way, as people. And it's also in the people lane. But I want to now talk into basically exploring some of these simple habits, and I discovered them a while back, because I go into these things like Entrepreneur Magazine and all these other kind of things, because even as entrepreneurs we never know enough, and when we're talking about these kind of things, the same as self-care, I do a lot of research. I just mentioned during the break that it is also very important that we as entrepreneurs start looking after ourselves better, and that has to become a habit, because we put it on the back burner or forget about it altogether, and eventually we burn out, we become ill, and we're no good to nobody. So I started, as if ever we need self-care, not only entrepreneurs but every single one of us, because we are engulfed with negative emotions, with disasters, with all kinds of stuff, and I don't even want to talk about, but our immune system is getting lower and lower and lower because of all these negative emotions, the fear, the stress, the anxiety, the depression, and suicidal thoughts, even bankruptcies, all those kind of things that we really need to start looking after ourselves. And as entrepreneurs, there's no exception. So I started a program. I'm now in the second week. Every day I talk about self-care, what it is, and all many different aspects of self-care on my own Facebook, in my Facebook Live and Key Leadership Institute. So if you want to find us there as well and go through them, I'm also uploading the videos slowly and surely on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. But it is important, and in Cubimo I'm uploading them in the self-care community as well. But it is so important, and you need to start writing down. Once you start realizing, the same with habits, and self-care is the same as habits. So habits, once you realize what they are, how you can use them, then you need to implement them. But you need to write down that stuff, because you need to write it down and have a schedule that every day you're going to do this. Not every day you have to do exactly the same, but you need to take some stuff every day that you cover yourself and become better, become healthier, and have healthier habits as well, because it's all part of that. So let's go into this. The first one is, and it's part of self-care, and it's so automatic, and we never think about it. People who, one of the good habits of an entrepreneur is that they hydrate. Now you might think, well, hydrate, what's that got to do with entrepreneurship? This is the people business, this is the personal side, remember? To function well, effective entrepreneurs start their day hydrated. And once they've had their coffee or tea, they start pushing the water. Now you can actually push the water first. I would recommend you, even before you take your coffee or tea, take a glass of water. Take a good drink of water to start that hydration, because successful and effective entrepreneurs are also aware that staying hydrated keeps their memory sharp, their mood stable, and their motivation intact. Now, how is that? Just for hydration. You probably never knew that. So start drinking water. How much water do you drink during the day? Well, it depends. But people think, we need to drink some water after we've worked out, because they know that you've perspired or sweated all that water out. Now you need to take it in again. No, all during the day you need to actually drink water. I've been guilty, as anybody else who hasn't done that enough. I've been guilty of not drinking enough water for a long time. I'm still working on it, but I've got my water bottle here, and I drink water all the time now, a lot more than I ever did, and it's really helping me. The second one is, I just mentioned already, but they exercise. There is a misconception that successful people have the freedom to exercise whenever they want. However, this is not true for the exceptionally busy ones. And as I say, especially at the beginning as well, entrepreneurs are everything to everybody all the time. So with all the different variables at hand during a work week, it can be near to impossible to work out at the same time or even at the same location each day. It depends what you do. But what is important is not when or where you exercise, or even how long for that matter, but just that you do it. See, they exercise, effective entrepreneurs exercise because it has proven to increase the neuroplasticity of the brain. How about that? And then making them smarter and more able to exist on the cutting edge of intelligence. Aside from the undeniable stress and health benefits that it has, they will not sacrifice an opportunity to produce growth in their brain's ability to stay sharp. Just by exercise, get that. And again, my physical health was also what you eat, my physical health. I've talked about it in my self-care series as well. So, feel free to go to Key Leadership Institute, the Facebook page, and look at all these videos and download them if you want, if it's possible. But it is so important for entrepreneurs, the same, effective entrepreneurs, of course. So they get ready for the day as well. That's the third one. Effective entrepreneurs are always ready for the day. No matter how busy they are, they accept that to be totally on point, they must be prepared organized every single day. The more prepared they are, the more confident, relaxed, and efficiently they operate. Now, is that not enough? And to do that, you need to prepare lists, goals, calls, meetings, calendars, what they're going to eat, when they're going to sleep, what clothes they wear, travel itineraries, time for exercise, family and friends. You get the picture. And I mean, to write down these things, my partner Arthie Moore, who's also a host, and he'll be on in less than an hour and a half, with an amazing session again, a powerful session. She is stunning every week, but I know already what she's going to talk about this week, and it's going to be powerful, so don't miss that. And after me, Tina Agbugo from Nigeria is on, and she's on the power hour after. I call it the power hour because it is indeed a power hour, so don't go away. Now the fourth one, of course, is, of course, and I'm looking at my time, okay. I've got 45 seconds again, I don't know how to do this. But they involve others. Effective entrepreneurs involve others because many entrepreneurs feel because they are on their own journey, they shouldn't enlist the help of others. However, highly effective entrepreneurs embrace the success is never a one-man job. You know, teamwork makes the dream work, all those fancy sayings, and that entrepreneurs as well. The most important, the more people they have on the team believing in their mission, the more innovative and successful they become. I hope that makes sense. And no one succeeds in a cocoon. Success is the most fulfilling when it's shared, when it's a shared experience. Take that in mind. And I've got a few seconds left. I'll just touch on the last one. For this session, and I've got another 6 or 7 after, but they take time for themselves. Again, in the self-care program, I talked about me time for the whole session as well, but to be successful, it takes a tremendous amount of grit and sacrifice. So you need to start looking after yourself better. You need to be proactive in your mindset rather than reactive, and that takes self-care. Now, if you're on radio, don't go away because we'll be back in